Hello, I'm Gus Downing, publisher and editor of the D&D Daily, and this is the LP News Network. We're here today with Bob Moraca, the Vice President of Loss Prevention for the National Retail Federation, John Shimp, Vice President Risk Management at Louis Vuitton and co-chair of the NRF ORC Investigators Network, and Gabe Esposito, Director, Security, Loss Prevention, and Business Continuity at Verizon Wireless, and also co-chair NRF ORC Investigators Network. Today's session is about the NRF's ORC efforts with their ORC Investigators Network. Established a number of years ago, it's as a means of helping to facilitate ORC networking around the country. The NRF now has two new co-chairs, and today we'll be talking with them about their plans and their forward direction, what they're going to be doing. So gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Gus. Thank you.
You know, Bob, the NRF group has always taken a front seat in leading a number of initiatives. Can you tell us about this revitalized effort?
You sure can. There's two things. I'll give you something hot off the presses. The 2016 National Retail Security Survey just released yesterday, and Dr. Hollinger is going to be presenting it later on this afternoon at Protect. And for the second year in a row, organized retail crime and shoplifting has outpaced the internal threat as the largest problem in this world of shrink. So that's reverses a 21-year trend. Second year in a row we've seen this. I think we're doing a better job on the internal threat, but ORC is growing. We know it's a more serious situation. That's number one. Number two, here at the Fusion Center, again, where law enforcement and organized retail crime associations partner, we've had a record-breaking year. We're up over 31 organizations, both law enforcement and organized retail ORCAs, coming together with retail executives, and it's been a buzz in there. So we know the issue is a problem. We're very fortunate to have two new co-chairs, John and Gabe. The ORC organization, from a national standpoint, you always have the regionals going very strong. You remember years ago, they used to actually have meetings and things.
Right.
Budgets are cut. There's just not that opportunity anymore to meet like that. So what we're creating is kind of a virtual roundtable that we're going to move forward. It's the brainchild of a number of folks on the LP Council, but Gabe and John have stepped up to kind of look at it and implement and reinvigorate, as you called it, the network. So I'll let them talk about it and give you some details.
Sure. John, Gabe, I mean, can you talk about the direction you'll be taking and how you plan on impacting the industry?
Sure. Thanks, Gus. And, you know, Bob said it best. We're here not necessarily to reinvent the wheel, but to re-energize an effort that's been ongoing within the NRF and among the industry. The goal of the ORC Investigators Network is really to leverage the existing infrastructure that's in place to help to bring together folks from within LP and our great partners in law enforcement to really help drive the momentum that is necessary to tackle the issues that are affecting our businesses. We hope to enhance coordination among retailers, as well as coordination between retailers and our great partners in law enforcement and in the existing ORCAs and other task forces to more effectively mitigate the significant issues that are impacting our businesses. With the NRF, its members and its partners, we're going to leverage best practices, identify cross-industry trends, enhance our network with law enforcement, and drive awareness and legislation, which is all important to retailers as well as law enforcement in prosecuting the cases that they help work for us.
Yeah, and Gus, really one of the other main goals for us is to really harmonize the regions that exist out there. We really want to take a hard look at how it exists, and we're actually taking some volunteers from a lot of other retail companies, and we're developing what we call regional leaders. And so they're actually going to be taking kind of the forefront for us at a high level on what the activity is with all the
retail
ORCAs.
leaders.
Yes, retail leaders. And they're going to take it to the next level on trying to get us information on really what's going on in their region with the ORCAs that are out there. So, you know, for us, it's really about recruiting, getting more people involved in the Investigators Network, signing up, making sure we have that information in the database. And really, we want these leaders to summarize the trends back to us here at the NRF so that we can market it a little bit stronger, because they're doing such a great job, and we want to make sure that all the ORCAs out there are recognized on what they're doing to help fight crime.
Well, as you know, we have an ORC Resource Center website that is trying to help as well and add value, and we are there to support your efforts.
That's great.
And as we mentioned a few moments ago, we're offering the NRF in your group any services that we can provide, a web page exclusively for your use, so that you can use that as a communicative tool, with all of these ORC associations across the country.
That's great.
So,
I mean, that's going to be a huge help for us, and really for everybody that's out there. You know, the quicker you can get the information, the easier we can get the information out there. It's critical for us.
Yeah, and there's, with over 31 ORC associations, have you established a plan yet, or talked about how you're going to integrate with them?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that John mentioned that we have structured the network, the NRF ORC Investigators Network, among regions, and one of the primary focuses in the dialogue that we have had is that by no means are we here to duplicate efforts or to reinvent the wheel, if you will, particularly as it pertains to interfacing with law enforcement and with existing ORCAs. They are doing and continue to do great work for all of us and are tremendous and invaluable partners. And so our effort is, again, not to duplicate, but rather to leverage the existing infrastructure and to bring some energy behind the dialogue and the interaction between the retailers and the existing ORCAs. On the flip side of that, there are markets that are underserved from a ORCA or task force perspective, if you will. And so what we hope to do through the network is to drive energy and resources collaboratively into potentially helping the underserved market stand up in ORCA if it doesn't already exist. And look, we're going to drive our network again to simply to better coordinate among ourselves and particularly with our law enforcement partners.
On a national level.
On a national level, regionally structured, but certainly on a national level, because at the end of the day, what impacts me impacts others, and to be able to connect those dots among retailers and also within law enforcement is invaluable. I have the great fortune, I haven't worn both hats in prior law enforcement and now in retail, and I can tell you that coming together in sessions like we've had the chance to come together in this morning here, hosted by the NRF. There's dialogue. There are instances. There are cases that are ongoing that have suddenly been connected, literally this morning. And so what we hope to do is to leverage the network, leverage the existing ORCAs, and enhance that ongoing collaboration, communication.
And with just a layman's perspective and doing the news every day, I mean, there's 5, 6, 7 organized, retail gangs operating any moment around the United States. I mean, actively in the process of doing it.
Right.
So, and they travel from state to state. I mean, they travel across the nation and fly into town specifically for that purpose. Same thing holds true in the UK and in Europe. I mean, UK has a problem with the Romanians coming over and such. So by connecting the dots at the top, you'll be able to communicate more effectively about the super organized groups, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah, I think one of the big things too, when you talk about at the high level, what we tried to do with the regions is we broke it out into 7 different regions, and we actually kind of modeled it after the FEMA regions for the U.S. so that we had a very clear picture of where it was. So that we were giving 2 regional leaders per region, so we actually have 14 volunteers that'll be dissecting that information that's happening across the country, funneling it up to us at a high level with a summary so that we can then fan it back out, whether it's through your website, through something that we're looking at, maybe building a database, anything we can do to really try so that everybody has access to this information. It's so important that we do that. And again, kind of to Gabe's point, we want to help the underdeveloped areas that don't necessarily have a strong law enforcement participation or retail participation. We need to make sure that we're working collaboratively together and making it work.
Which is where some of the pros are now going. I mean, they're going from some of the more difficult, identified, tough markets into the small markets, in the skimmers and the small towns. And I mean, they're kind of following you where you aren't, so to speak. So that's obviously a fantastic development to hear about.
Yeah, we're going to try. It's a challenge, but we're definitely going to try and make it work.
Yes, Bob.
And in the essence, we're going to think globally but act locally. These 7 regional managers will host 2, 3, maybe 4 conference calls. I call them virtual roundtables, when things are happening, and then they'll gather the details and the data and the intel, forward it up, and then we'll redistribute. So kind of creating a virtual version of what used to happen when they had those physical meetings in the different regions. And we've got great support from the ORCAs, certainly the NRF. You're certainly going to support the effort. So we're building it as we go, and we think this is going to be extremely helpful in the long run.
Well, it was, the NRF really invented the effort, so to speak. I mean, they were the authors of it when Joe Moraca was the vice president.
That's
he really spearheaded the Investigators Network and put in the blood, sweat, and tears to get that up and rolling, and I think helped fuel the development of these associations. So by getting back engaged and involved and tying it together up top, I think is just going to be unbelievably fantastic for the industry, and also provide the federal groups with the information quicker, faster, more accurate by bringing all that data together that you're speaking about. So it's one to be commended, and I wish you the best of luck in your efforts.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Terrific.
We're glad to have the opportunity to have great partners in the NRF and yourself and your organization.
Thanks, Gabe. Gentlemen, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Gus.
Well, that's it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to thank you for watching. And until next time, let's keep them all safe out there.